Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Ashtotra Kashi Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Ashtotra Kashi Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Srila Bhaktivedanta Srila Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Aranta Koti Vaishnava Vrind Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गौर गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिर गोवर्धन की जाय। वृंदावन धाम की जाय। मथुरा धाम की जाय। नवद्वीप धाम की जाय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जाय। गंगा माई की जाय। यमुना माई की जाय। तुलसी देवी की जाय। भक्ति देवी की जाय। युग धर्म श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glory to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glory to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glory to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Guru Anga. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. This morning's Bhagavatam class. In the presence of Shri Shri Radha Gopinath and Srila Prabhupada. Today we read from Canto 2, titled Creation, Chapter 4, The Process of Creation, verse 15. So repeat again, Canto 2, Chapter 4, verse 15. The verse is on the board, if you can see it, but we recited. But before that, we offer our invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yat kirtanam yat smaranam yadikshanam yad vandanam yat shravanam yad arhanam lokasya sadhya vidunoti kalmasham tasmai subhadra shravase namo namaha. Yat kirtanam yat smaranam yadikshanam Yad vandanam yad shravanam yad arhanam lokasya sadhya vidunoti kalmasham tasmai subhadra shravase namo namaha. Yat kirtanam yat smaranam yad ikshanam yad vandanam yad shravanam yad arhanam lokasya sadhya vidunoti kalmasham Tasmai Subhadra Shravase Namo Namaha. Word for word translation. Yat, whose. Kirtanam, glorification. Yat, whose. Smaranam, remembrances. Yat, whose. Ikshanam, audience. Yat, whose. Vandanam, prayers. Yat, whose. Shravanam, hearing about. Yat, whose. Arhanam, worshipping. Lokasya, of all people. Sadhya, forthwith. Vidunoti, specifically cleanses. Kalmasam, effects of sins. Tasmai, unto him. Subhadra, all auspicious. Shravase, one who is heard. Namaha, my due obeisances. Namaha, again and again. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all-auspicious Lord Sri Krishna, about whom glorification, remembrances, audience, prayers, hearing, and worship can at once cleanse the effect of all sins of the performer. Purport. The sublime form of religious performances to free oneself from all reactions of sins is suggested herein by the greatest authority, Sri Shukadev Goswami. Kirtanam, or glorifying the Lord, can be performed in very many ways, such as remembering, visiting temples to see the deity, offering prayers in front of the Lord, and hearing recitations of glorification of the Lord as they are mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam or in the Bhagavad Gita. Kirtanam can be performed both by singing the glories of the Lord in accompaniment with melodious music and by recitation of scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. The devotees need not be disappointed in the physical absence of the Lord, though they may think of not being associated with Him. The devotional process of chanting, hearing, remembering, etc., either all or some of them, or even one of them, can give us the desired result of associating with the Lord by discharging the transcendental loving service of the Lord in the above manner. Even the very sound of the holy name of Lord Krishna or Rama can at once surcharge the atmosphere spiritually. We must know definitely that the Lord is present wherever such pure transcendental service is performed, and thus the performer of offenseless kirtanam has positive association with the Lord. Similarly, remembrance and prayers can also can give us the desired result if they are properly done under expert guidance. One should not concoct forms of devotional service. One may worship the form of the Lord in a temple, or one may impersonally offer the Lord devotional prayers in a mosque or a church. One is sure to get free from the reactions of sins provided one is very careful about not committing sins willingly in expectation of getting free from the reactions of sins by worshipping in the temple or by offering prayers in the church. This mentality of committing sins willfully on the strength of devotional service is called Namno Baladyasha Hi Papa Buddhihi, and it is the greatest offense in the discharge of devotional service. Hearing, therefore, is essential in order to keep oneself strictly on guard against such pitfalls of sins. And in order to give special stress to the hearing process, the Goswami invokes all auspicious fortune in this matter. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Tapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanushrute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatirubhascha Kripa Sindhubhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we are reading Canto 2, Chapter 4, which is titled The Process of Creation. And actually when I first when I was reading the second canto, and when I came across the titles, and I was quite excited because the title says The Process of Creation. And as soon as I started flipping through the pages or going through the verses, I could see that there were just inquiries by Maharaj Parikshit on creation, but the detail or the response to his questions weren't being answered yet. And I was thinking to myself, why is this so? And then as I read through it, I could see that to invoke that very knowledge or that the remembrance or that's being handed down to the parampara on the process of creation, Shukadev Goswami is first invoking the blessings of the Supreme Lord in order to make him a worthy, in order to bless him in such a way that he'd be qualified to speak on this topic. And that's very important. Anytime you see that in the prayers of our acharyas or great devotees that we see in the Bhagavatam or in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that before they ask for any benedictions from the Lord, or before they even request the Lord for some service or for any particular inquiry, they first offer prayers to the Lord. And that's the way of, and by doing this, they're showing us the proper mood in which we should be ready to offer all respect to the Supreme Lord through prayer, through vandanam, and which will indeed attract the Lord's mercy, which will in turn qualify us to receive the instruction or the benedictions or the knowledge that's required for us to advance in devotional service. So that's very important. So you see, for a good part of the remainder of the chapter, you'll see Shukadev Goswami offering prayers. And here too, I'll read the translation again, where he says, "Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all-auspicious Lord Shri Krishna, about whom glorification, remembrances, audience, prayers, hearing and worship can at once cleanse the effects of all sins of the performer." So here we are speaking about, or what's being discussed is actually the glorification of Krishna's name, remembrances of his pastimes, audience prayers, and so on. So quite often as practicing devotees, we always hear this over and over again, that Krishna is non-different from his name. And in each class we hear this, or the instruction that we receive, that Krishna is non-different from his name. So when we chant, we should chant with this mood that Krishna is non-different from his name, and provided that we follow the proper chanting process in due course of time, or dependent on Krishna's mercy, we will realize that fact. Before I dive into this purport, I'd like to say a story that I'd heard years ago by my Guru Maharaj, and he was saying that in the early days at the Boston or New York temple, I can't remember exactly where this was where this pastime took place. But there was a devotee. So the way it turned out to be was that the devotees got into trouble with either with the landlord or some authorities around the temple, and the authorities or the opposite party was so crooked and conniving in the sense that they basically took the devotees to court on some matters which I can't remember at this point in time. But so they petitioned to the higher authorities, and eventually the matter landed in court, and the devotees had to testify. So it turns out to be that one of the devotees that was asked to testify, I can't remember his name, he was very timid and very, very soft-spoken by nature for him, but it just turned out to be that he was asked to go and testify. And by nature, he really never wanted to be in such a situation, but he goes in the box, which is the protocol for you to come and testify in front of a judge. And it turns out to be that the judge or the attorney or the person representing the opposite party was so expert at somehow manipulating the whole situation in such a way that whoever he would question, that person would just be clueless and not having to know what to answer. And eventually, it turns out to be that in the past, the case would be such that this person would question the defendant or, the opposite party in such a way that that person wouldn't be able to answer, and he would just have to succumb to whatever pressure that's being put on this person, and they'll give in to defeat, and that way the party that this attorney was representing would always win. That's how it would always happen. But then this devotee was asked a question, and all of a sudden the question was, who were there? Who were there at that moment that this happened? I'm just paraphrasing because I can't remember the exact detail. And then this devotee said he didn't know what to answer, and all of a sudden, within a few seconds, he just remembered the names of the devotees that were present there, that this pastime happened. And he said, Rishikesha was there, Vasudev was there, Ganesham was there, Giriraj was there, so on and so forth. And as he was saying these names, these devotees, he just felt a surge of fearlessness come through him, because he realized that he could perceive Krishna's presence in that atmosphere that was so unfavorably disposed towards their situation, but he felt that Krishna's presence was right there just by him invoking these names, that he just felt so confident, and he could, as he kept repeating those names, he just felt more and more fearless. And as a result, whatever the attorney or the representative of the other party kept questioning, he just could answer with great confidence, and as a matter of result, the devotees won that case, and were able to secure what could have been an impossible task. So what I'm trying to emphasize here is that Krishna is not different from his name, and that can be seen through the lives of devotees, whoever had this experience, that as a result of their faith in the holy names and the execution of their devotional service, their conviction was fortified to such an extent that they could perceive, or they can perceive, Krishna's presence through all spheres of life as it is. So again, Krishna is non-different from his name and Krishna's potencies. There's no difference between Krishna and Krishna's potencies. So when we talk of Krishna's transcendental potencies, there are three primarily there are three potencies through which Krishna enacts everything. The first one, or the one of them being the Sandini potency. This is the potency by which Krishna exists, or by which everything exists. And then is the Samvit potency. Samvit potency is the potency by which Krishna knows everything about himself and causes others to know about him, so knowledge. And the Ladini potency is through which Krishna possesses transcendental bliss and causes devotees to have transcendental bliss in interactions with him or his paraphernalia. So this is described in detail in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 4, verse 62. And it said in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, devotees perceive the Ladini potency by the power of the Samvit potency. So in a sense, we can experience that bliss when we are sufficiently equipped with knowledge of Krishna's potency or of Krishna's name, form, qualities and pastimes. So it's very important, as it is said towards the end of the purport here, hearing, therefore, is essential in order to keep oneself strictly on guard against such pitfalls of sins. And in order to give special stress to the hearing process, the Goswami invokes all auspicious fortune in this matter. So, there's one very important point that's mentioned here, and that talks about how hearing of Krishna, remembrances, audience prayers, hearing and worship can at once cleanse the effects of all sins on the performer. So we hear this word sin quite a lot. Especially this term is very common throughout all religious traditions, and the very word sin is actually condemned. If you open up any religious literature or any such tradition that is geared towards perfection of a relationship with the divine or God, or in our tradition, it's perfection of a relationship with Krishna. So when we hear it again in Srila Prabhupada's purports, there's a tendency of just dismissing it altogether. Oh, sin, who cares? Sin. We tend to take it very cheaply because we don't fully understand the extent of how this very effect of sin molds our lives in such a way that we forget Krishna, or it has this proclivities for us to just attach ourselves to matter. So what is sin? In the Nectar of Devotion, this is beautifully described by Prabhupada, that there are 4 levels of sin, or there are 4, as you can say, progressive layers of sin. And the first one being Kuta, the word Kuta. Kuta stands for, or Kuta is understood to be just a preliminary disposition towards a sinful activity. So just the very thought of a sinful activity, just a very vague idea of a sinful activity, that's Kuta. And that moves on further to produces Bijam, which is a sinful desire, which is a specific sinful desire that we may have. And as a result, that sinful desire further evolves into what is known as a papa, or a sinful action. And that sinful action manifests into a aparabdha, which is an unmanifest. So basically that sinful action that we perform evolves into a sinful, an unmanifested sinful reaction that awaits us in the future. And in due course of time, from aparabdha, from the unmanifest sinful reaction, it evolves into prarabdha, which is in manifest sinful reaction. So a lot of times, our current suffering that we are undergoing is the result of our prarabdha karma. So I'm born as As an Indian, I am born in a certain family. That's a result of my prarabdha karma. Now, the root of all this, as Prabhupada explains, if you read Nectar of Devotion, is avidya, ignorance. Now, one may say, okay, how does that all play into effect? So, let's say, for example, a person is sick, and he's sick because he or she drank contaminated water. Now, this person will keep drinking contaminated water because of ignorance, because this person doesn't know that this water is contaminated. So it's the ignorance that's causing this person to just fall into this perpetual cycle over and over again. So when this person is told that, hey, you're drinking contaminated water, stop it, he or she will stop it, and then through the virtue of knowledge, he or she will be able to overcome that ignorance which was causing him to drink this contaminated water. So how does this work for us? Because it clearly says here that devotional service can eradicate sinful reactions, or basically it can uproot all these four layers. So, for example, again, take the example of a person who due to some sinful reaction has this proclivity of committing, because of some sinful reaction this person has done, there's this proclivity of him, or an aparabdha karma, of him actually becoming a thief and stealing someday. And that's aparabdha karma that just gets stored, that'll await him in a future birth. So, that aparabdha karma, let's say in the next birth, this person, even the slightest exposure to dishonesty and cheating, which then becomes kuta, will then give rise to the seed of a sinful desire within him, which is to steal. And because he has a desire to steal, he will end up stealing, which is papam. And that pap actually will result in aparabdha karma again. Again, it'll bind this person in this perpetual cycle. So how devotional service eradicates all of it is that through ignorance, it eradicates that aparabdha karma. So that cycle will start from aparabdha to kuta to bija and then pap, and then it can basically eradicate that successive layers that will come if this person is fortunate enough to take to the process of devotional service. Again, like I said, this is all very beautifully described in the Nectar of Devotion. So, just for us to understand what it actually alludes to, I just wanted to have a slight discussion of what Prabhupada is referring to here. Now, in the first canto, chapter 2, verse 21, there's a beautiful process that's elaborated there by Prabhupada on how Krishna's name, or how the presence of Krishna within the heart actually eradicates our very ignorance. And he says that in our heart there are these knots, and these knots are knot of spirit and matter. Our spiritual identity, which belongs to the transcendental potency of us being the servants of Krishna and of us being spiritual, that gets, because of association with matter, there's a knot, and that knot causes this ignorance because it allows us to identify with this material body. And Prabhupada writes in that purport that the moment Krishna, the light of Krishna's sun arises in the heart, at that very moment the darkness that's been caused by these knots, or the darkness of the nights that has been caused by these knots, it all dissipates, and then the clouds of doubt that have been residing in our heart about all the relative and absolute truths, they all disappear. And Krishna then gives knowledge from within. Very famous verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya Chaham, from chapter 15, Sarvasya Chaham, Riddhi Sani Vishnu, Mata Jnanam, Apohanam Cha. So Krishna says, I'm seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So Krishna is there in our heart, and He's waiting for us to call upon Him. And the moment we, due to a good fortune, again that's another topic, that if we come in touch with devotees, if we are able to hear of Krishna's name, quality, form, pastimes, then that knot is pierced and Krishna does His work. Now, by process of devotional service, what is it that actually keeps us? What is that knot that is keeping us here? And that knot is beautifully described in Sanskrit as a word called Hridaya Dorbalyam, which is the weakness of the heart. I'll just read the purport to the last verse of chapter 15 where this is spoken of. So chapter 15. While one is performing devotional service in the association of pure devotees in full Krishna consciousness, there are certain things which require to be vanquished altogether. The most important thing that one has to surmount is weakness of the heart. This is Hridaya Dorbalyam, which is the weakness of the heart. The first fall down is caused by the desire to lord it over material nature. Thus, one gives up the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord. The second weakness of the heart is that as one increases the propensity to lord it over material nature, he becomes attached to matter and the possession of matter. The problems of material existence are due to these weaknesses of the heart. So, we all are attached to matter, and that's coming from this weakness of heart. And as a result of this weakness, we just want to increase that attachment to matter, and that's what causes us to be implicated in this whole cycle of samsara. And it's due to our false ego. Our false ego serves as an impediment for us to enjoy our eternal relationship with Krishna. So just last week we celebrated Nrsimha Chaturdashi. And the story of Nrsimha-dev's pastime has been, ever since I started associating with devotees, this whole pastime of Nrsimha-dev was such that my takeaway from that was that the Lord always protects His devotees. No matter in how dire the circumstances may be, but Krishna is always there to protect His devotees, and He never fails in that. But last week, as I was hearing, there was such, again, due to COVID-19, there have been there have been so many sanghas around the globe over the internet that, there are different devotees speaking their realizations. There are such beautiful classes that are being given. Due to due to current limitations where we can't go outside, we were hearing certain classes, and this is one class by His Grace Gauranga Prabhu from Chowpatty, who was addressing the devotees in Tobacco, New Jersey, and he shed light on this Nrsimha-dev pastime in such light that I had never seen it before. And he said that Nrsimha-dev, Hiranyakashipu had asked for 5 benedictions to not be killed either during the day or the night, to not be killed either inside or outside the house, neither on land, sky or water, neither by any human, animal or demigod, or by any nails, any weapon. And Nrsimha-dev, staying true to the boons that were offered to him, that were offered to Hiranyakashipu by Brahma, kept all these boons intact and killed him through his own transcendental potency, which he appeared in the body, which exactly was the opposite of what Hiranyakashipu had asked. So what Gauranga Prabhu alluded to is that Nrsingadev is here to actually kill a false ego and to uplift our consciousness. And he kills a false ego of us wanting to enjoy independent of Krishna. And you're saying that how Nrsingadev killed Hiranyakashipu. So one of the conditions was that how he, through all these 5 conditions, he proved that a false ego cannot be killed by either any weapon. It can't be killed either during the day or the night. It can't be killed either inside or outside the house. It can't be killed or it can't be vanquished either land, sky, or water, or neither inside or outside. It can only be vanquished by the Lord Himself, which is being described through the process of devotional service, which is through glorification, remembrance, audience, prayers, hearing, and worship. So that it had such a profound effect that I started seeing the whole pastime of Nrsingadev differently to what I was accustomed to seeing, that this all-powerful Lord can come and vanquish demons, but it has a deeper meaning, which is that it can a false ego can only be eradicated or can only be vanquished by the presence of the Lord through His potency or through His devotees. Another point that's mentioned here is that one should not sin on the strength of the holy name. And as we read every morning, one of the offenses to the holy name is one should not commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting Hare Krishna. And this has been described in detail in the book Harinam Chintamani, which is a conversation between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Haridas Thakur. And it said that Krishna's name can destroy more sins than one can accrue in a million of lifetimes. So Krishna's name has the potency to destroy all those sins. But when one willfully commits sinful activities on the strength, that he or she will be protected by the holy name, then that certainly is a cheater's mentality, and it actually plunges one in even more suffering than one can even think of. So as I was reading through that passage, I wanted to know the remedy. I wanted to get to the remedy. What's the remedy? Because obviously, anything we do, and because of the all-merciful nature of the Lord, Krishna says there's a remedy. And then the remedy was that one should seek out the pure devotee to the Lord and submit to their instructions and seek advice from them, because the devotees of the Lord are very merciful and they'll offer us consolation which will allow that residue of that sinful propensity in our heart to be destroyed. And just last night, as I was reading this passage, there's a beautiful, my wife happened to read out a prayer by a spiritual master, His Holiness Parthasarathi Das Swami Maharaj, and he was praying to Govardhan. So in Harinam Chintamani, this is described that how these sinful propensities are like highway robbers, and how we are basically traveling on a road that has these highway robbers just waiting for us. And if we call out to the Lord or to the pure devotees of the Lord, then these highway robbers will basically run away because of fear of someone coming to punish them. So Maharaj was actually describing, he was praying to Govardhan, praying to the pure, Govardhan being the pure devotee of the Lord, that because he resides in Govardhan. He's praying to Govardhan to please enchant my, please come to my rescue from these highway robbers of lust and anger, which are just pulling me down in this ocean of nescience. Please help me. So we should always, always, always seek out the association of pure devotees, always be willing to serve them, and be ready to be chastised, because our minds are such that unless we receive chastisement, because that very chastisement shakes our shakes our attachment to matter, and that's very much needed. So as it behooves us to always to be on guard against these pitfalls, and that is always chant the name of the Lord, always be engaged in one form of devotional service or the other, because that's our ticket out of this material world. I would like to end by saying two pastimes that I'd heard many years ago. And this one pastime was actually spoken to by my Guru Maharaj once in a class. And he said that he was one of his godbrothers, a disciple of Prabhupada by the name of Ram Das. And this devotee was a Maharati in his early years of Krishna consciousness, that he had, he was a pioneer book distributor, he'd made lots of devotees, really was, one of the founding pillars of the movement in those days. But as the years went by, his circumstances changed, and he wasn't able to stay close to the association devotees. And he went through a lot of suffering as a result of that. And towards the end of his life, he was asked to go, asked to leave from whatever situation he was in by his family or whatever. Or maybe his family arranged for him to go to Vrindavan. And he went to Vrindavan. And when he went to Vrindavan, he realized of all those years that he had missed out, that he missed, his days of Sankirtan so much that he just started to lament, I've wasted all these years later in my life, I couldn't engage in the service of the Lord. And he was in Vrindavan, and he was grateful to be in Vrindavan. And he was suffering a lot. He was in a lot of physical pain, that devotees that were looking after him, felt a lot of empathy for him because he was in a lot of pain. So as he was going through, his healing, or as devotees were, or whoever were looking after him, he knew that his end was near. He wouldn't be living for too long. And as the devotees were there looking after him, he all of a sudden, or in a matter of few days, he started having these very mystical experiences. He could see, he intensified his chanting, he intensified his smaranam, his remembrance of the Lord through the hearing process. And he started getting very mystical experiences of Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami coming there, reading out to him, being there with him, and many other saintly personalities that I can't remember their names, but actually there with him. And then I think I'm not sure if Maharaj was referring to him having a conversation with him, or this was him speaking out, this devotee, Ramdas, speaking to some devotees, where he said, now when I look back in my life, I see that all the suffering and all that I went through was actually worth it. Because now I've come to the stage where I'm associating with these personalities, and I'm ready. I'm ready to take the jump. I'm ready to to march on to my next destination, which promises to be closer to what the actual destination is. And he was so blissful that he, even though he was in such pain, it didn't affect his consciousness at all. So that's the difference between material energy and spiritual energy, is that the material energy, for it to even function, that causes us to be dependent on our body, on our bodily functions. But with the spiritual energy, that is not dependent on our body. Of course, we use our body as a vehicle to engage in Krishna's service, but in the absolute sense, it has nothing to do with our body. So, this devotee Ramdas continued having these mystical experiences, and it had such a transformation on the devotees that were looking after him that they all felt themselves to be greatly fortunate. And later on, a few days later, this devotee left his body, and devotees could see that he had achieved what he wanted to, and this was because of him fully engaging in the process and also the mercy of his spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. So what we take from this is that Krishna is always there. Krishna is a dearmost friend. One of Krishna's name is Achyuta. He's infallible, which means he'll never fail in his promise or in his obligation to his devotees. If I have time, I'll just say one more pastime. And this pastime is actually described, if any of you are interested, can go to the website narasimhalila.com. And it's such a beautiful pastime because it talks about how the Lord reciprocates with the desire of his devotee, even though it may mean that this devotee is praying for someone else, and the Lord will always make sure that he reciprocates with that devotee. So this Mataji from Thailand, she was a practicing devotee, and her father was in semi-coma, almost at the verge of dying. But then he wasn't leaving his body. It is said that one is in a position of, if one has done a lot of sinful action, then one of the reactions that person could get is to be in comatose, in that condition where this person is having to suffer because the soul wants to leave the body, but the body doesn't, it's just trapped in the body, and the body is just like a vegetable, not moving at all, but the soul is in the body and is conscious of what's happening. So I think she was elsewhere, but then when she got the news of her father being in such a condition, she rushed to look after her father, and she went to the hospital, and he was in comatose condition. And all she did was she just took complete shelter of the holy name, and she started chanting to her father in his ears, or started playing a recording of Srila Prabhupada chanting japa or chanting kirtan. I can't remember exactly. So much so that over the next few days, her father became receptive to chanting, and then he would just pat on the bed, like as they would chant, he would just tap, which means that he was acknowledging the chanting of the mantra. And slowly but steadily, he would look, as she would chant or put on a recording chanting, he would just tap, and just try to chant. He would slowly regain consciousness, and he would also try to chant with her. So one day, as she was sitting by his bed, he said, I don't know the name of this Mataji, but he addressed her by her name. I see this person here. A five-handed person, and he's got the face of a lion. And Mataji was like, okay. And he's telling me to chant this mantra. You are telling me to chant. And she's like, oh yes, Hare Krishna mantra. And he said, and he's not, and then Mataji's like, is this Lord Narasimhadev that you're talking about? And then her dad is like, yes, he's nodding his head, yes, I am him. And at that very moment, Mataji was just feeling so ecstatic that, wow, I mean, she didn't know how to react to it. And he said that, no, he's telling me to chant the mantra that you are chanting. And then he's just smiling there, just standing there waiting for me. And then Mataji is like, yes, Dad, try to chant the mantra. And he tried to chant, he tried to learn to chant the mantra, the Maha Mantra, as his daughter Mataji was trying to describe to him. And within the next couple of days, one day while amidst the chanting of the mantra, I think during the morning hours, he left his body. And she described the whole situation being he was left in such tranquility that you wouldn't even know that he's left the body. And after he left his body as a part of the process of cremation, she decorated his body with tilak, and it was scented with tulsi leaves and so on and so forth. And as she cremated his body and brought the ashes, the nurses came up to the Mataji and said, "We have never seen someone's ashes look so white, and it's just him being so happy. What did you do? Please tell us this mantra. We would like to use this on our patients." So that's how it is said that Krishna's name invokes all good fortune and auspiciousness. This was vividly depicted in this pastime. So all we need to do is to just stick it out. Just whatever we're doing, don't ever forget Krishna. Always remember him. And by doing so, we are assured of Krishna's protection in all circumstances. So I'd like to end here. Thank you very much. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Bol.